Hi guys, so I'm going to do Sonya's Bookish tag, and this is not to be confused with the other Bookish tag that is currently going around YouTube. I might do that one at some point. This one, however, is Sonya's. Okay, question number 1, favourite genre? Fantasy with a bullet. Of course, I like all the subgenres and types within fantasy as a whole, but high fantasy essentially kicks ass. Question number 2, must-have books. Well, there's no way in hell I would give up my Harry Potter series or my Anne of Green Gables series. I wouldn't want to have to say goodbye to any of my anthologies, be whatever they are, my short story anthologies, my poetry anthologies, my literature anthologies, which encompass a whole range of things, and there's other series I wouldn't want to say goodbye to, like my Killer Unicorn series or my Wicked Lovely series. But, I mean, if you took Anne or Harry from me, it'd be like cutting off a limb. Most expensive books. I think, I'm not sure if $80 is probably the most I spent in a book, but I'm sure there was a good reason for that $80 being spent, so I don't think it was a frivolous spending spree. Yeah, and that would have been one of the anthologies, but like, for example, this one here, The Norton Anthology of English Literature Volume 2, had to be purchased for uni, and I think it was something insane. It could have been $65, it could have been $75. It was something nutty, but it was worth it, and I'm really happy I have it. It's full of so much, really. It's excellent. It's very, very useful, even though my uni days have been and gone. And this one here, 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die, I am so happy I have it. Of course, goes without saying. I think it was $65. I know my Disney encyclopedia was like maybe $55. Yeah, so even though I have spent money that would seem foolish to many, it was always on something that I either needed or really couldn't do. Question number 4. What book do you covet the most? At the moment, there's so many books I want and have been wanting for a long time. I really want Tempestuous by Leslie Livingston. It's the final book in the Wondrous Strange trilogy. I've wanted that for months now. I would love Angel Fire, I'd love the Iron Thorn, I'd love the Iron Witch. Yeah, there's quite a few books that I would really like, but I don't think I'm getting them anytime soon. Even though it's my birthday, no one wants to buy me books, which is understandable. Favourite author, or you can name 3. Yay, Sonya, thank you. Of course, Jo Rowling, naturally, J.K. Rowling, L.M. Montgomery, so Lucy Maud Montgomery, she wrote the Anne of Green Gables series, and Isabel Carmody, because she wrote the Albert Newton Chronicles. All authors you hear from me all the time, but I love them. Question number 6, how much do you spend on books? In store, in a physical store with physical money in my hand, I think the most I've ever brought myself to spend in one go would have been maybe $70. But that would have probably been with birthday money when I was feeling really, crazy. And it probably would have been in Borders, so I probably wouldn't have got that much, because they're expensive. So, yeah, that maybe would have got me 5 books on a good day. They're probably having a sale. But online, of course, you can feel like you can be a bit more reckless, especially if you're on Book Depository. So on the Book Depository it might have been upwards of $150, but that would have got me a lot of books, so that would have been worthwhile. Favourite bookstores? Well, most of our chain ones are closing, so we're losing almost all of our Borders, and quite a few of our Angus and Robinson stores are closing. But I mainly like to go in those to browse. I'd rarely buy because they cost so much. Their books are costly. I like to go to general stores like Kmart or Big W for my books, because their book sections are usually quite extensive, and there's lots of great titles, and their prices are very good. And of course online is the Book Depository, essentially. Question number 8. What do you think of the current YA trend, which at the moment I'm assuming is Greek mythology, because that's what Sonya talked about. I have my own video on that. It's ranting, really. I'll put that in the doobly-doo in my pants. I'm just very distrusting and suspicious and wary of trends in YA. Namely because of the way they're marketed and the publicity side of it, and the word of mouth that goes with it, and how each one suffers comparisons to the other, and the predecessors kind of determine the path of each of them. And I just think it all gives me a headache. And the fact that they're treated as something fresh and new and exciting, even though we've seen this before. We've had Greek mythology in young adult literature before now. We've seen angels and vampires and werewolves and fairies before. It's great that they're getting rehashed and, you know, being brought to the surface again, but I feel like it does a disservice to stuff that already exists as well. I don't know, it all makes me very, very on edge. But yeah. Question number 9. A series that you wish had more books. That's such a great question, Sonya. Thank you. Eon by Alison Goodman, the Dragon Eye series. It's a duology, and I think that's fantastic because it's something a bit different, given all the, you know, the series that are around. But that was such a fantastically created world and such an interesting set of characters. If we were given the chance to spend more time with that series, I would have been very happy. That's just one that springs to mind at the moment. Question number 10. Go-to books you will always have. Like I said, Harry and Anne aren't going nowhere. They're the two that spring to mind. I couldn't be without them, I don't think. As corny as that is. Question 11. Books that are currently in your bag or purse. I guess this takes care of that tag. I'm carrying around Beauty Queens by Libba Bray at the moment, when it would fit, because it's quite long, and it's a bit heavy. It just depends what bag I have, the size of it, and what's already in the bag. Or I'm carrying Unearthly by Cynthia Hand. But that said, it doesn't mean I'm actually reading either of them, because I'm being really slack lately, but at least they're travelling with me. They're going around. Question number 12. Most prized book in your collection? Phantom by Susan Kay springs to mind because I had to work so hard to get my hands on that. It had just been reissued. It had been out of print for years and years, and it was very hard to come by, and you had to get second-hand battered copies. But it had just been reissued in hardback. It cost a lot of money to get. I had to get it from America, but I was so happy when I finally got it. Question 13. Types of non-fiction on your shelf. I have lots of books about books, because I'm so nerdy, that gets me high. I have a lot of books about literature in general, lots of anthologies. I have several humorous books about nothing specific, just bizarre things. I like bizarre things. And some trivia. I have books, I have 2 books at least, on famous words by people. Not necessarily famous last words, although that's very cool, and John Green would like that. But just comments and quotes and remarks from famous people. And I have a few autobiographies and biographies. I do need to get more though. Yeah, that's some stuff that I have that's non-fiction. But I mean, I'm proud of my non-fiction section on my bookshelf, but it does need to expand and grow, and it will hopefully. And that was the final question, so I will think of some people to tag and put you all in the doobly-doo in my pants. It's a good place to be. And thank you, Sonya, for this tag, and I'll see you all later.